Hello, we're at Shoe Heel in Doncaster, and somebody's bought this beautiful pair of Barkers, £15 from eBay. I think they came from £15, and that included the postage. So yeah, this is what turned up for this customer, and he's brought them in for us to have a look at them and see what we can do. The uppers are beautiful. I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but they really are spot on. Now, let's have a look at the underside. So, they have been worn. The heel is hardly touched, look. Hardly touched around the heel. The heel, the leather heel there, and the rubber tip. It has been worn, but not a great deal. The sole has got plenty of meat left in that sole. Worn just to the stitches. People get upset when they see it worn to the stitches, or if the stitches are worn out, they think the sole's going to drop off, but it won't. It's on there beautifully. The only time it will start to come away is when it's worn down to super thin, nothing left of it, and then it doesn't always happen. Now, where this chap who's ever worn these has been quite heavy is on the toe. Can you see that toe there? That's worn down to nearly the welt. It's the same on both of them, and so they are ready for something to be done to them. Now, one other thing that we've noticed on this shoe, have a look inside here. Look, somebody, can you see the lumps inside there? Look, is that picking them out there? Somebody,
just point and press where it is.
Yeah, it's there. Look, can you see just in that area there? It's quite lumpy. Somebody has not been using a shoe horn with these, and they have crushed the backs down, and it has damaged them quite badly round there. Now, I'm going to just take my knife and open it up and see if we can see that damage in there. I'll see how this goes. We're going to be as careful as we can. We'll go from quite far back there. Oh, come on. Right, can you see in there all of that that's broken up? Okay, what we'll do with that is we'll rake out a lot of that that counter stiffener, rake it out that's gone a little bit hard, brittle, and been broken, all through not using a shoe horn, and we'll rake it all out, and then we'll put some glue in, and we'll glue the lining back in again, and that'll be absolutely fine. Once the glue soaks into what's left of that heel counter, it will be good again. You know, not brand new, but it will be good again, and it will be nice and wearable. So, you know, sorting the backs out like that, price wise, you know, it can be 20 quid for the time, or if you've really got to strip it right down and start rebuilding stuff in the back, it can get quite expensive, and a lot of the time Paul won't do it because it's just not feasible for us to be doing that. So that's just something to watch out for on these second-hand shoes. The other one has got a little bit of damage, but nothing like as much as that one had.
You'd never tell in the photos, though, would you?
You wouldn't, unless somebody, you know, if they're being completely honest with you, you know, it's just another thing to put on your list. Check the counters round the backs. Are they okay inside? We've mentioned the fact of looking to see if they're worn through, but see if they're lumpy at all. You know, see if whoever's selling them will send you a picture of that. Anyway, what can we do to this shoe now? So, we have a few options. We could build that toe back up again, put a piece of leather in there, build that toe up, and then cover that with a beautiful cover sole, like has been done to that one there. Look, you see, that's had a cover sole on there. That would be the cheapest way of putting that right. The heel doesn't want anything at all. The sole on there might be round about £30, and there'll be a slight extra charge for putting the toe piece in there, bringing that back up to scratch. Or you could strip the shoe down, do a complete through sole in a Gruben's leather like that, the oak bark leather, or you could pay an extra 20 quid on top of that. I think that one's around about 120, 125, or you could pay another £20 and have the JR on there and put this shoe back. Now, Is it a shoe that I would do that with? I'm not 100% sure, because, you know, I bought the shoe quite cheaply. In my world, I would go with a cover sole and get the rest of the wear out of this shoe. I bought it cheap. I don't need to blow a lot of money on it. Put the cover sole on, get wearing them, make sure everything else is good, and maybe when you've got used to having the shoe for a while and you've got it all bedded in and it's nice and comfortable for you, you might consider on the next repair, when the heel's down and the sole's through, having a full rebuild on it. But initially, I would just get the thing going again and get wearing them. So that's the options for them. Of course, there's a half sole option as well, having it stripped down and rebuilt with a half leather sole, Grubins or the JR, I think Paul does. Anyway, that's those there. Lovely shoe though, £15. Possible you could have worn them with that damage at the back, and you could just polish these up. We haven't touched these. We haven't polished them, just as they turned up.
Well, I think that is it. It is a £325 shoe.
£325.
But I have seen them. It's the sort of thing where the people buy them for a wedding shoe and only wear them once,
Yes.
and then sell them in it. So they're quite
Yeah, these have been.
sort of shoe, aren't
They are. These have been worn obviously more than once. Maybe somebody's got them to the point where they realise they're looking for a first repair on them, and they don't want to invest some money in them, which is a shame, because it is a nice shoe. It's just a.
Would be like 150 at Barker, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah, full repair, but that is, if they go back to the factory, they wouldn't do anything about the back, I don't think, but you would get them re-welted. That's part of where we re-stitch through the same holes, use the same welt, they would re-welt them. That is where you actually stitch the new welt onto the rib, and I think, you know, I hear some places it's 3 times a repair and then you're done. Others might do 3 or 4, but anyway.
I think most of them say 3.
Most say 3
Some of
times.
them say 3, and then the next one at your own risk.
Yes. Oh, well, that's good. I didn't realise that. So 3 times guaranteed.
Yeah, 3
4th time is at your own risk.
But then that guy said in the comments the other day that he had 2 at churches, and the 3rd they couldn't do anything.
They wouldn't do it.
No.
Right. They wouldn't do the
30 years though.
Yes, 30 years repair. So you've got to think that that rib is getting old a little bit and starting to wear. Okay, so we did a video and we were putting on the video, we went with the densometer. What do they call this? It's a durometer. That's right.
It's not. You keep saying densometer, but it's nothing to do with density.
Okay,
it's softness.
Softness, how hard something is. Okay.
No, density is something completely.
Okay. So it's
it's a durometer, and it tests the hardness of rubber.
Right.
On a
Okay.
scale of
We know.
0 to 100.
We know and it's 0 to 100. Yeah. Hold it up in the air and it's 0. Push it into a piece of concrete and it'll be 100.
I think they didn't do concrete. It's just rubber and something. Rubber. I think leather and rubber. But the scale is 0 to 100.
Yes.
And we've tested rubber soles before, and the hardest ones were the Itch Side Commando.
Victory Sole.
Rated 84.
84 hardness.
100 on the hardness.
Yep.
That was the hardest rubber.
And the softest?
Was 40.
40.
Wow.
Some of the Vibram Morflex, the softer ones. Yeah.
We were doing the traditional ones, weren't we?
Yes.
Mainly.
Yeah, mainly.
They were all 70, 75 to 80 odd.
What about a leather sole? A leather sole.
We tested those 2 loose ones.
This is a newish shoe that's been worn once. It's a Barker again. And this leather sole here has just been worn once. It hasn't gone hard at all. Not that I think. It feels lovely. It feels just like new. No wear on it at all. Just taken the sheen off of it. How dense was that? How hard was it? Sorry.
91, that one.
91. Yes, 91. So that's really, really hard.
It's even harder. Like I've tried to spread it out and give the average. But it's really on the waist. It's probably it's as hard as you can probably get. It's not hard in the middle, but then it's when it gets to the sole. It's
on the sole part, and it's only the sole part that we're interested in because that's the part that we walk on.
I've tested those 2 loose soles as well.
Yep. So the
So I've tested them off the shoe with because you've got to do 6 mil of testing.
Right.
So I put 2 soles together
And tried them.
Test.
Yeah.
JR was 90.5.
90.5, yeah.
The Reuben was 89.5.
Wow, 89,
And,
right.
That McLean was 91, so they're all around 90.
So the Gruben oak bark sole is slightly, I mean, there's nothing in it.
That's nothing.
Nothing in it. Nothing in it.
90 for a leather sole.
Yep.
They all seem to be.
Wow.
Well, that's hard, isn't it?
How about a sole that's been worn then? That people say does go hard. So this sole here.
I did that used barker. I've done that. I've tested that barker there, and that was 90.28.
90.28 on the.
So the one with the McLean that's been worn once.
Yes.
Was 91.2.
Right.
And the used one was 90.2. So it's hardly anything really. It's
right.
Only one.
Right. Well, it's strange enough. People do say when leather's been worn, it does get harder.
It's a bit of a.
Bit of a myth, that, Mem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing, one worth mentioning is when you're using that device, you've got to have 6 mil of things. So I can put 2 soles together to get more than 6 mil. With the ones on the shoe, you're not testing.
But you're getting a rough idea. It's a rough idea. So what about when we've fitted this lovely executive cover sole? Where are we at then? Because this is the cover sole that goes on there like that, the executive cover sole.
So once you put a cover sole on,
yes,
like on that black one,
yep,
it's rating 80.8, so it dropped 10 just from having that on.
Wow, and that is a nice, look at that, that's a nice repair. That's a light coloured cover sole and then a light coloured rubber heel on there. So you don't see any of the black bits. Nobody wants a black heel on there, so a nice coloured natural coloured heel on there. So lovely. So getting your cover sole on there makes it a good bit softer underfoot.
It's 80, but a day night was like 76.
Yes.
Ridgeway was 78, and all the commandos were around 80. So even dropping down to 80, it's not going to be like you're not getting soft.
No. But you're definitely getting a little bit of give, tiny little give. What about the heel then? The Barker rubber heel that wears so well, wears really well. What sort of denseness is the rubber heel? Did you do I keep saying denseness. I mean hardness. How hard?
I did that Barker. What did I do that Barker?
And the heel itself, the leather on the heel.
The actual leather of the heel.
Yes.
Was as hard as you can possibly get.
Right.
Like 98.
98.
So it's like out of 100. That's rock hard.
Wow.
But I think the rubber was a bit. Rubber on heel. 83.
Right. So that's quite soft then. It's
it's still 8.
But 83. But you're saying a soft victory sole unit.
Soft now.
Right.
They're the hardest rubber.
Yeah.
Victory and the Commando are 84. So the rubber on that heel is 84.
Right. But compared to the leather heel, it's got some give in it. It's got some lovely softness in it.
A little bit,
Yeah. Good. So that is. Have we missed anything out? Have we missed anything out? We'll get these Barkers dealt with round the back of this heel here. So that's nice and smooth. That usually breaks up and falls out, and we get.
I think the people who was asking was mainly because we did all the traditional rubber soles.
Yes.
And they was asking how does the leather sole compare.
So if you look at my range of trickers in the shop, the stock, there's nothing with a leather sole on. A tricker shoe, a big heavy country shoe. Why would you want a leather sole on it? First thing we're going to do, if you do want a leather sole, is we're going to put you a cover sole on. To give you a little bit of grip and a little bit of protection, but rubber soles far better every time. Rubber cover sole over your leather, absolutely great. Unless, of course, you're a dancer, and then you need the leather sole. You need a little bit of slippage when you're dancing. But if you're not a deliberate dancer, get a cover sole on your leather soles. Have we covered everything there? Have we got everything down? Yep.
Someone will ask another question.
They will. But this is, this sounds like a little bit of a boring topic, but people are interested in this. How hard are the materials underfoot? Because all of that transfers through your shoes, into your knees, into your hips, and the older we get, the more we need a little bit of give maybe in our shoes.
I said in my video that I did in the kitchen, that them Ridgeways and the Daynights were like high 70s.
Yes, high.
if you've got any of the traditional ones, all of them are harder than that. So if
Right.
you've got day night and you don't get on with that, you need to be down.
But you said your most comfortable ones now are the ones with the microfoam unit on them. Gumlight.
They're 40 odd.
Gumlight 40.
40
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Well, they must be like trainers then.
Well, they are. Well,
They must be like trainers.
But they're wearing a lot quicker than them day nights on me.
Oh, are they? Right.
So
That's the point
you
then.
need-
Yes.
They are cheaper.
It's because you're getting old, Rob. You're getting old.
No,
Getting
but
old, my
it's-
friend.
They're not mega soft, but they are starting to show
Yeah.
their wear after a certain amount of miles. I'm not-
Lovely. Okay, so I think we've got that. Anything else you need? Get in touch. Rob organises these technical bits of information for you, and hope it helps.